Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. Can we look to predictions of the past to predict our future? What may happen in the next 100 years? Released in 1900. Fourth turning-esque periods. 1875. Predicting highs and lows. UBI, negative interest rates. Cryptocurrency stimulus checks. It's in the fog of the future. But you know, the UN dollar battle is going to continue. We need to visualize banking. From March and April, the lower this goes, the more wealth is being transferred. BTC halving April 18th, possibly 2024, screaming forward at the same time as central bank digital currency, the tracker. And perhaps we could forecast the future of foods as well, micro livestock and intermittent fasting. 40% reduction of food intake. And I need this kind of window so I can wake up in the morning and follow the trends of nature. Now, looking at the past to predict the future, I could make a prediction that we will not replicate this type of structure because we haven't since they've been built. Antiquitech, perhaps. I'll also forecast there's going to be just as much money, if not more, in the transfer. There's always been wealth on the planet, always will be. There's more people right here, right now with money than ever have been. This is not going to disappear as we move forward in the cycle. So what would I mean predicting the future by looking at the past? Going to jump over here. Ladies' Home Journal. This was the year 1900. So they're trying to predict into the future what would our be year 2000, which was 23 years ago for us. So it's kind of a melding of times because you're far enough ahead now to remember what it was like 23 years ago in the year 2000. But they are also predicting 100 years into the future. George Jetson's kind, but past it. Now look at the prophecies and carefully transcribed opinions of what our world would be like 100 years into the future. At 1900, there would be 500 million people. Okay, we're getting close. Well, actually, it's pretty good. Between 350 million and 500 million. That's on the left. In the center there, trains would go 150 miles an hour. Yes, they do now, maglev trains. Automobiles will be cheaper than horses. Yeah, I think they are now. To have stables for your horse and the feed for your horse and the medications for your horse. That's probably going to be equivalent with an automobile in today's age. The Grand Opera, over on the right, the Grand Ole Opry, will be telephoned into private homes. That's radio, obviously, what they're talking about. And now with YouTube, etc., we can watch it live in the home. And the document's quite interesting on how the people were thinking. So what I'm gleaning from this is the general idea was pretty much reached on all these predictions 100 years into the future. But let's go through a few more before we try to predict from 2020 or 2023 into 2030 or 2035. Americans will be taller? Yes, that's true. Everybody will walk 10 miles? Nope, missed that one. Store purchases by tube. Pneumatic tubes instead of store wagons will deliver packages in bundles. But now we have Amazon, which I don't think they envisioned. Collagen may do more than simply help turn back the clock on how your skin looks. The latest research suggests it may also assist with building muscle and losing fat when combined with exercise. This is why I highly recommend trying it out for yourself. It uses a groundbreaking formula that combines 5 critically important types of collagen into one easy-to-mix scoop. The best part is it's tasteless and odorless, which means it goes down with your favorite drinks and recipes. Visit healthwithadapt2030.com. That's healthwithadapt2030.com. Click on that link in the description box below and take 51% off my favorite collagen. And now on with the video. And here's an interesting one that really, the reason I brought you this document, look right there, right side. Third one down, vegetables grown by electricity, electroculture. So they had been dabbling with this and working with it, obviously, to know that the way it was at the tech 120 years ago, using electroculture would for sure be incredibly experimented on, and it would be one of the ways to grow the world's crops and food for the people without using herbicides and pesticides. Keep the plants as healthy, resonating so no pest wants to come close to them, and then get a higher yield than just farm inputs alone because you're remagnetizing the soil. And below that, oranges grow in Philadelphia, yeah, in greenhouses, and it even talks about farmers in South America will be able to get that produce up there in the winter. And in the center, second one down, to England in 2 days. Fast electric ships. Now, where did that tech go to? Fast electric ships crossing the ocean? Why did they think it was going to go electric if they only knew fossil fuel days? Oh, yeah, I forgot. The first electric cars, as we know them, were invented in the 1880s. So this would only have been 20 years after that. So obviously they would have had the same tech. The battery tech is going to get better in the next 100 years. But we skipped the whole 80 years somewhere in the middle and then just brought it back recently. There will be airships. Yes, there will be. If we head all the way over to the left, hot and cold air spigots, yes, that's a third one down. They're talking about air conditioning. And then this one, no, they didn't get it right. No mosquitoes nor flies. Insect screens will be unnecessary. Mosquitoes, houseflies will be a thing of the past. And they even talk about the habitat of the mosquito if you want to remove that around your own property. That's nice. Ready-cooked meals will be bought. Oh, yeah. They didn't envision the brought to your house everyday subscription models. And then on the left side, no foods will be exposed. Yeah, everything's in containers now. It's under plastic or it's in plastic over glass. Then the very next entry there, coal will not be used for heating or cooking. And they talk about, in the center of the paragraph there, every river or creek with any sizable fall will be equipped with water motors like micro hydro, turning dynamos, making electricity. And even at that point, they understood that you could bring it micro and you could power the world. Like even just in this document here, what is being spoken of is mind, altering in terms of how it was back then. And it was completely kept out of public view for 90 years and just brought back in now. It's like we skipped 100 years of development in this tech that they thought would go from day one screaming up north with so much development into it. We could power our world with micro hydro, truly could. But below that, they say there'll be no streetcars in large cities or cars. They were talking about streetcars, perhaps the electrified streetcars. Everything will be underground, moving sidewalks just like it was with the World's Fair in Paris, I do believe. Photographs will be telegraphed. Yeah, that's what we consider TV or even watching here on YouTube. Strawberries as large as apples on the top right. Nah, that didn't come to fruition. Peas as large as beets. It didn't either. But two integral foods there, peas and beets and apples if you're strawberries. If you're able to get that as your base food source, that's a good list right there. It's planting season right now. Black, blue, and green roses. Yeah, we get things. Even hibiscus comes in all different types. So that was on a generalized sense of just tech and society moving forward with what it was at that time. So let's move into time around that time, 1875. So only 25 years from when that full document was written, bringing together the minds of the university world at that time to predict the future. There's only 25. This would be like the year 2000 until now, and then we write this one. And as with the fourth turning, Strauss and Howe, there seem to be cycles in generations, and each one of those generations is a different type of energy frequency from high to low. And that energy is the thing that produces the prosperity. That's mapped out here for you too, from 1924 to 1931, 1942. These are the periods of lows as we would look along the timescape. 2023 is another one of those. These 3 years between 2023 and 2026, suddenly it becomes not such a bad time according to times prior. It's like we're caught in a dust storm. You see it coming, the road disappears. Which direction, as the overwhelm affects your breathing, your sight, what you hear, do you even believe what's in front of your own eyes? And where do you run for cover? Even in our own day, between 2020 and 2030, predictions done included stimulus checks and supply chain shutdowns. supply shortages, quantitative easing, universal basic income, negative interest rates, and all things we see with the economy. AI comes on the scene, a major global economic collapse. The US dollar losing its reserve status as the tech exodus echoes 3 times. Economy war. It's sometime between now and then. It's an event-based timeline. Just like the next Bitcoin halving, predicting in the future what's going to happen. Look to the past, what has happened at every single Bitcoin halving. You have to do your own research on that one. April 18th, 2024 is the predicted halving clock striking midnight. UN and the dollar are definitely going to continue to battle it out as the world's reserve currency. But if anything is predicted here, the global risks landscape is another one, pointing us directly to the future. Economics, environment, geopolitical, societal, and technological, all with high, medium, or low risks, interconnected. Pull one thread, the mitten begins to unravel. Central bank digital currencies, it's part of the changeover, the shift. The money's the wealth for the next fourth turning. Central bank digital currency tracker here by color. Launched pilot development research. Phase inactive. That's unknown. What does that mean? Why is it inactive? And 2 are canceled. We'll go into the launched. It seems that the tech is not developed enough and the people wanting it is not at the FOMO stage enough. So it's all hands on deck to get this integration working as quickly as possible. It's going to take financing to do this. This is 1st of March all the way until we are now. So about 2 months of finance world time. And what we're looking at is companies descending in value, losing what the percentage of the company's value. But you notice sometimes entire industries are going in tandem and one's pulling down the rest. Where's this money traveling to? It looks like there's a complete transfer of wealth from the West over to the new BRICS nations and asset-backed block of currencies that are evolving. It's trade amongst each other, which is 80% of the planet. Because it looks like the remainder of these are eventually going to drift down to 30% and then 40%. The future of food also given to us because we might be able to forecast the future and get into those industries that are in the pie. Synthetic nutrients, micro livestock, alternative proteins, intermittent fasting. We'll eat 40% less. It's good for your mind. And then seed oils. You have to read all about those, the different temperatures, the different foods that are processed with them, which plants grow those oil seeds. If I was going to choose one on all of this list, I would focus on that one to see all about the oils and what they can be used for. But the micro livestock made me laugh. It truly did. You're looking at that going, oh, where do they come up with the lexicon? Oh. And speaking of seeds, you are going to need to grow some of your own food during this time. You can see from the past where we're going in the future. We can predict pretty good, at least in the next 10 years. Doesn't have to be 100 years in the future. But that all involves growing your own food, seeds, grains, and fodder. If you're going to have any animals, start with the vegetables. TrueLeafMarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on the planet. It is springtime right now. Exciting time to get into the garden. That link's in the description box below, along with tonight's stories, images, graphics, so you can watch these again, interpret them the way you see the future. If you see something different or a nugget that was missed to make a more complete picture, please throw it in the description box below. I do thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.